Welcome Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, and Editor for Critical Blast Publishing. Do we do anything else? I've got to check. It seems like we got our fingers in an awful lot of pies, and I'm not pulling out any plums lately. In fact, today was a fun day. You see my arm? I'm not a heroin addict. By the way, I just wanted to make that clear. I donate plasma on a regular basis, and today some new lady, she got it in this left arm, and then the machine was like giving off alerts, and she came running back over and said, "Oh, you're taking it back in too fast." I'm like, "I'm not trying to." By the way, the needle kind of stings, so she moved it around, and then she took it out and she moved it to the other arm, which didn't have any bruises on it at the time either, and I'm like, well, I'm glad I've got a week until my next visit because this is going to take a while to heal up, isn't it? So I walked out there with bandages on both elbows and an ice pack on this one. But, you know, they pay you, so I guess they get to abuse your... You know, when you sell your body, I guess they have the right to abuse your body while they've got it. That's part of the trick. At least apparently in this neck of the woods. It is open mic night. Yes, Kevin, when they play Bobbing for Veins. They found one. They just, this lady just, she had a straight needle. I had a straight vein, and she kind of went in at an angle because that's the only way that this works. It went in here and it bruised up here. That's because she's like, she went off road with the thing. So that was all kinds of fun. Again, it is open mic night. So whatever is on your mind going on in comics, if you've got something to promote that you're just getting ready to launch and you want to tell everybody about it, this is the place. If you bought a comic book that you really loved, or you bought a comic book that you think stinks, this is get it off your chest. Get it off your chest, but keep your shirt on because this is a family-oriented stream, and we don't need YouTube coming in and saying that we did anything. We don't want to be raging like any golden eagles in the near future here and having to fight for, whatever it says that we might have done. So we got a queued up list of people here. Mike Walters is in the stream with the mic stand. Mike, how you doing tonight?
All right. Ready to hit up on some news topics and talk, of course, a little bit of, from historical aspect of some coverage I've been doing. So pretty much ready to go. I got 2 or 3 ideas on my mind, depending upon how the conversation goes.
All right. Well, good, because I have no ideas. I always come into this thing blind, and we just go wherever it goes. To that end, we have George Peter Gatsis in the chat. George.
Yeah. Did you hear about this chick who made like over $300,000 in NFTs? And if you look at her art, it looks as crappy as the art that you see in the real world, where really crappy art gets sold for lots of money. It's a laundry money scheme. It is.
Yeah, well, that's that new coin. It's a $SIMP. That's how that stuff is sold. Yeah. Simp coin.
Hey, two artists had a art contest just recently, and it was very interesting. It was very exciting. It ended with a draw.
I had a brush with death with that one, man.
We got Robertson in the chat, and Kevin put something up as well.
Yeah. Robert's out there. Hail, Robert. Glad to have you in the chat. And Kevin Gillette. Yeah, Kevin, by the way, runs inkedpub.com. So, and he has provided us with a lot of the interviews we've done in the past. You will actually know that it's one of his, because we'll have this logo up. Actually, I got to change that logo. He sent me a revised logo, but yeah, whenever we're part of the NSC Roadshow, we will have that up. The chat is filling up, and the back room is filling up. We have that LBP gamer, sir. Hello, sir. Are you there? LBP gamer, we'll try to come back to you in a little bit. And we also have Brian Lamont. Brian?
Yeah, how you doing? My name is Brian Lamont, not Brian Lamont.
Brian Lamont. Okay. Where are you from, Brian?
I'm from Scotland.
Well, welcome to the show. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, what are you talking about? What's this show all about?
Usually it's the comic book and pop culture industry. It's kind of what we get into.
Ah, right, cool. Comic books, right, okay. I like porno mags myself, but
yeah, well, we've seen a few of those in the comic book industry. Thanks for popping by. We appreciate you. Our next guy here is kind of sus. Hello, sus. Oh, I don't know what that was. George, you disappeared on us. I do hope you'll come back. So people are having fun because it is Mr. Yanathui's birthday. Happy birthday. No, wait a second. We can do better than that. We can do better than that for Mr. Yanathui. We can do much better than that. Hey, get over here. Get over here. We need birthday wishes.
Oh, you know, Sam, one of the things I was thinking of earlier too, RJ. You know what? An interesting way to start. We could have had starting off tonight's show is if you had Marmalade singing "Comicsgate Pie."
Oh no, he doesn't have to sing that twice. But.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Yanathui? What kind of name is Yanathui? This is his name. Okay. Mr. Yanathui, happy birthday to you. Yay, okay. Do we get cake?
No.
What are you want here? There's no cake. Get out of here.
All right. Well, thank you for singing the song, Marmalade. Appreciate that. Mr. Yanathui, happy birthday.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where George went. George disappeared. I hope he makes it back. So,
Well,
Mike, what's been going on?
Has a very interesting theory there.
Well, George has that Canadian internet, you know. So,
yeah. So.
But yes, we run the risk of getting rickrolled. It happens when the mic is open, so it just does. I saw Joe Ball out there. At least the name was Joe Ball. Where do I advertise the link to get randos? Right at the top of the chat and right below the video. But other than that, we don't, I didn't share the link out on Twitter today or anything. I just shared the video, said it was open mic. But, as long as the random people are, respectful of the channel, and basically don't try to get us canceled off of YouTube. That's all I really care about. Yeah, they might see it come up in their notifications. You're right, Heroinberg, which means that they're subscribers. So, thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I got some really good comics in the mail this week. And I'm going to turn around and pull them out here because I just finished framing up the print that came with them. Excuse me. We had these gentlemen, and I use that term loosely, on our show. Just the other night, Bad Bug Comics was here, a new publisher that's out there, and they had Pocus Hocus is one of their new titles.
Oh yeah, I think I did an art. I read that article off of your site. A week or so ago.
Yeah, we ran the review off of the PDF, so now I've got the physical copies. They sent me 1 and 2, and then they also sent me number 2 in the black and white version as well. So. And on top of that, the tier that I backed came with this lovely little print that I just had framed up today. The magician's assistant, Emily. So Pocus is one of them fun, interesting books. He's a master magician because he made a deal with a demon, and as soon as he made the deal, the reason for the deal disappeared. So now he's this master. He's got the master of magic, but he's bored because he doesn't have the reason for having it anymore. So he sold his soul unless there's divine intervention, or he can guess the demon's name that he sold his soul to, like a Rumpelstiltskin kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, it does sound a little bit. I think even as I was reading the description stuff when I was doing the article, going over the article, I thought it was pretty interesting. So.
I really enjoyed it, and their next book that they've got coming out is called Periwinkle, and it is it's an elf on a revenge quest, not a Lord of the Rings elf, but a literal North Pole toy making elf. Santa Claus has been killed, and Krampus and Belsnickel, two other legendary Christmas figures of evil, have done this thing, and he's got his naughty list and he's crossing them off, and he's got a really cool weapon that he uses. So we're going to be watching for that. It's finishing up on Kickstarter here very soon. Herwenberg now he says he got Beardzerker Rainbow and She editions in the mail yesterday. Yeah, I got my I didn't get the She edition, but I did get the Rainbow Brute one. I also am waiting patiently for Star Circuit. Didn't realize how long it had been since that one out. But yeah, it's late. We just did a show last week on late comics, and amazing viewership on that one. I was really surprised. It was probably like I was going to come on and talk for 10 minutes on a whim and just go over the books I backed and see which ones were late and which ones were on time. We had over like 100 views on that within an hour. So it's like, geez, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Intense Webs, welcome to the show. Glad to see you here, sir.
Hey man, I haven't seen you on my channel in a while, my friend. Hope everything's been well with you.
Oh yeah. And by the way, when Mike talks about his channel, it's linked below in the description. So it's right down there. You can see the mic stand. Go over there and subscribe. Get the niche news Monday through Thursday, and the journey in the time machine ride back to the golden age on Friday. Do you have a name for that show, Mike, or is it just the mic stand every night?
I just go with the mic. And when I originally started the mic stand, I would have subtitles like Monday Machinations, Tuesday Talks, Wednesday Words. But then I decided to throw that part out in part because one of the names I was using was Friday Night Forum, was initially designed to be kind of a forum-like setting, like what we do here with the open mic and but with me just having specific guests.
Yeah.
And wrote, but it just didn't work out that way. The people I was trying to get were like usually too busy. So the people at the time were like Tug and Flash and Hero.
Oh, sure. Oh, goodness, yes. I've wanted to get Tug and Flash and just some guy together for one stream for one night just to talk about what it took to get to a successful level stream. Because, I'm not there. You're not there. A lot of us aren't there.
We're still trying to struggle just to get. Well, we're still struggling at times to get the double digit concurrent views.
So I thought it'd be cool if they could just come on and tell us some of the things they learned. As they broke through the barriers to make it to where they're at. And be an interesting learning experience. Hey, Herwenberg.
Hey, good evening, RJ and Mike. How you guys doing?
All right, hey man, how you doing?
Doing
Pretty
really
good.
well. You're getting hit in the convention circuit, man.
Yeah, we came back from Northeast Con in Massachusetts last weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. A little bit underattended, but we had as much fun as
I'll be right back, RJ.
As humanly possible. I would say one of the highlights was meeting artist Keith Williams, who did Web of Spider-Man for quite a number of years. What a really nice guy. And I met Steve Stern, creator of Zen, the Intergalactic Ninja.
Oh my God, that takes me back.
I know he started out on Entity with Don Chin, but he's still pumping out Zen. And guess what label he's on now?
Tell me.
The relaunched First Comics.
Wait. Okay, now this is news. First Comics is relaunched. I missed this.
First Comics has been relaunched. It's been relaunched for a while, maybe a couple years now. Except now they spell it one first with the number 1 and then FIRST.
Well, that might be why I haven't seen it.
Right, because it would be searched under a different name. But yeah, I remember First super fondly from back in the 80s. What would
E-Man?
What would be the hero titles? I know
For me, it was E-Man.
it was E-Man. Was Whisper on First? I think so.
I think so. Star Slayer.
Yeah. I collected most of the run of Whisper. That's the female ninja. That's how I remember First. Anyway, so Steve Stern is back pushing Zen pretty hard, and he had a woman with him who's making clocks of Zen, the intergalactic ninja. It's like a pop culture clock looking thing, and she was
Cool.
very nice too. I don't know who else did we meet. We saw the reunion of a late 1970s Boston punk new wave band called the Nervous Eaters. They were on Elektra Records, and
I don't think I met them or heard of them before.
they the guy who runs Northeast Con, Gary Somers, he's kind of like your really hip boomer, and he's really into music as much as he's into comics. So I can totally relate to him because that's kind of my dual worlds. And so Gary, he likes to do some things in the con that most people don't do. He has floor shows that happen after the con day is over. He has bands playing live on stage, but between like 7 and 10. And one of them was the Nervous Eaters, who I guess got back together. Now they're on Little Steven's record label. What else does he have? He had an original cosplay character contest, which you would think nobody would enter because nobody comes as an original character to cons.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, of course, we knew that was going to be the case. So we entered our actress, Casey, who plays Stellara, who was with us. And she was up against only one other contestant. And we had a really good presentation. And so she won a $50 prize. And that was nice. But you would think that if they had an OC cosplay contest, they would publicize it and like there would be a history behind it that people would know it was coming up and they'd prepare their character for it. But I guess not, I mean, that's I've never heard of such a thing before, and it was fun, but obviously it's hard to get contestants for such a thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, you have to make up a character in your head and then,
Well, I mean, it could be an original character from a comic, and the thing is all that, all the comic creators there, they could have brought someone playing their character and that would have qualified because that's what we did, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nobody really thinks of doing that for some reason. So the whole thing happened. Northeast Con happened in a hotel 30 miles outside of Boston. And we stayed in the hotel for 3 days. It had an indoor pool. And it was fun. Like I said, underattended. And a couple of us wound up getting con crud when we came home and had to.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. We had to recover. Con crud. Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, you can't go to a con without getting con crud.
Yeah. It hits you for 2 or 3 days, kind of. The coughing and the sneezing and the lethargy. But I'm back up to snuff. So tomorrow I'm filming another custom video and
by the way, I bet that was with everybody wearing masks.
Yeah, because actually this is interesting. As you know, Massachusetts is pretty liberal, and this was the first con where we had to have a vax card to even get in, even as a vendor. I had not seen that before. We've been to a whole bunch of cons in Ohio, West Virginia, and even Connecticut where that wasn't the case. But yeah, so you had to have a vax card. So I got jabbed once and only once so far. And I don't want to do that again. But what's the point? Oh, yeah. I mean, so yeah, technically everybody was vaxxed and a lot of people were wearing masks and you still get the crud, but it wasn't the coof, it was just some other, some other cold. Yeah.
Just now, your usual throw a bunch of people in a room. Someone's going to get sick.
Now, granted, I haven't been to a whole lot of cons of it. It probably been some like 10 years or so. So I was to my last con, even when I did go to a few anime cons, they were like spread out here and there. I don't remember anything about quote unquote con crud.
Well, that's
Oh.
always a
Maybe
thing.
because-
That's
maybe
always a
because
thing.
That's
That
one of those things I'm not as a regular part of or anything like that. So
yeah.
Yeah, if
That's
you go
always the
regularly,
thing
you
that
will
can,
be.
it can happen to you. I've avoided it up until now, but it finally hit me. Yeah, we've been to like 9 cons this year so far. We have one left next weekend in Pittsburgh, Steel City Con, and several of our characters will be there repping, and our interior artist Ben Barnett will make a rare appearance as well. We made a new sticker for him from new sticker art that he made. He's 3 pages into creating issue 3 so far, so he's making some good progress. So yeah, we're working on issue 3. We're filming a custom tomorrow, and by the end of next week, we'll have all of the principal photography shot for our 20th episode, which will then be produced all through January. So yeah, those are all
Herberg,
the,
when do you reach a point where you're going to take all these web episodes and say this is a full arc and put them to a DVD and start selling? Are you already doing that and I'm not seeing it?
well, no, we haven't made DVDs because I just really have only had, and maybe 8 requests in about 5 years for DVDs. It just haven't been enough to really, press, because if you want to press like a commercial one, that costs a good amount of money. It's like putting out a CD, right? So
Sure,
instead, the other way we offer the episodes, if people don't, want to pay download them from the site, is at conventions, we put them on USB drives. We have the entire 21 episodes available. And in fact, just at Northeast Con, for example, there was a guy who I guess kind of fell in love a little bit with Stellara, which was cute. And he ordered episodes 17, 18, and 19. And we gave them to him for a special discount price because it costs pretty much nothing just to dump it on it costs the amount of the drive, right? So,
Yeah.
which is like $5. So, yeah, I gave him 3 episodes for $10, sent him on his way, and now he's a fan of the live action as well as the comics. So,
Well,
yeah,
keep in mind that every time you get a request for something from a person who is motivated to make the request,
yeah,
there's a market of 5 more people who want the thing, but we're not motivated. So that's a
very
multiplier.
possibly. I've looked in a couple times to the idea of making limited DVD pressings, and we may eventually do that. I mean, like you said, there's so much content at this point that it would really take several DVDs to make a set. So, yeah, that's something it's very worth thinking about. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because there hasn't
It's a
been
horrible
enough.
time for George to have dropped out, because this is something where I don't know if you've been watching George's streams lately, but he's been taking these public domain serials and editing them and cleaning them up and been running them live on YouTube. We've been talking about, pressing these to DVD. So there's a plan in motion already for DVD pressing.
Without
You and
any
he could get together and
without any copyright problems, huh? Yeah.
yeah, without any, because it was edited to the point where YouTube accepted it, cut off basically all the cliffhanger things and just threaded them together seamlessly. So instead of a bunch of 10-minute episodes of Batman, you've got a 2.5-hour movie of Batman.
How old are we talking? I mean, is he able to do that with like George Reeves Superman serials or with Flash Gordon?
I don't think that. Well, you're talking about the Kirk Allen ones. I think those are still they're
Kirk
still
Allen
trademarked and copyright in pieces because they've taken segments. See, here's the thing he's run into is like the movie is public domain.
Yeah.
But if somebody takes a 30-second or 45-second clip and puts it in something else, now that clip's trademark and copyright is renewed for whatever it was in there.
Yeah.
So if you did like hey, I'm doing a retrospective on Batman today, and look at these first 30 seconds of this serial, you have just now started a new clock ticking on copyright because that's your video, and YouTube says, oh, the 30 seconds of this thing you just played match 30 seconds of what this new thing is, copyright notice.
Speaking of which, here's something interesting. So tomorrow we are filming our 5th custom, and this is the second time it's happened. Somebody hires us to simulate or recreate a scene from a famous movie or TV show. So 2 of our customs, the one we're doing tomorrow involves a series of segments from Batman 66, season 1, episode 5. and it involves Batman getting knocked out and carried through a bunch of hallways. And we're doing that, except we're doing it instead with one of our heroines. In fact, the sidekick, kind of our Robin, her name is Zinnia, a defender of nature. She's a sidekick. And so she'll have like her costume on, a little cape, and these guys will be knocking her out, carrying her through the hallways. And then at the end, just like Batman does, he throws a gas pill on the floor and then knocks the guys out. So we're literally recreating that part of that thing. And then there's another guy who wants us to recreate the kryptonite scene from Superman 1978, where Lex tricks Superman into pulling a kryptonite necklace out of a lead box, then winds up putting it on him, and he gets really weak, and then they throw him into a swimming pool. We're doing everything except the swimming pool, but it's going to be done with the heroine you see right in the middle of my avatar, Poderosa, the Latina Superwoman. So she's going to be, even though in our regular canon, she doesn't have that weakness, in our What If universe, they're going to give her that weakness. She'll have a kryptonite weakness, and the kryptonite will be called Dranium because it drains her powers. So it's not unobtainium, it's Dranium. So
unobtainium.
So then people really like to recreate things that they see in old TV and movies, kind of for their own. They want to put their own spin on it, and so that's what a couple of people are hiring us to do. So that's pretty interesting phenomenon there. The kind of retro element of it.
Homages.
Yeah, homages. Yeah.
Robert Roberts is. We were talking about the Rainbow Brute copy of Beardzerker. I had lost my train of thought there. It says, I'm torn. I'm looking forward to Ethan Van Sciver's Rainbow the Brute, my girthy stallion, and especially cool story, bro. But EBS is taking 2 years to do Cyberfrog 2. Yeah, and you're not going to see Rainbow the Brute until the end of 2024.
Probably not. I don't know how many perks are coming with Cyberfrog 2, Wreck Planet, but I think one of them is a Salamandroid card that our colorist Jason colored. So,
oh, nice.
If that is the case, if you get a Salamandroid card whenever this thing finally comes out, then that'll be the one that Jason colored. So I guess maybe look for that sometime in the future when it's fulfilled.
If I remember that I've backed Cyberfrog 2, which I have, long time ago. Mike Jimmy's awake. Yes, it's 2 a.m. in the Netherlands, and so he's up. Probably has his shirt off and is sitting there stroking his cat and watching some live stream. Good morning,
cool.
Mike.
I have a friend who used to live here for a long time, whose last name was De Bruin also, and she's also Dutch. That must be a common name over there.
We could get them on here and start them talking to each other, not understand a word they say.
There'll be a lot of
De Bruin. It sounds like Lord of the Bears.
Speaking of convention news, since I know we were talking a little bit about conventions earlier, I don't know if you guys had heard. I guess the situation developed over the weekend here.
Oh, I know where you're going.
You hear about what happened with
LA keep going. Keep bringing it.
So once again, Kick Vic is at their up to their old tricks. I believe it led by Mars Girl. So Vic was apparently going to be at LA Comic Con to do a signing for Aces Comics.
Yeah, that just finished. The Comic Con just finished a couple hours ago.
But what happened was apparently, apparently it was the con itself, I guess, that told him, no, I'm sorry, we have to cancel you. I know that
it was a vendor.
We're doing a big report on it last night. Tug put up the 20-minute segment where they were talking to Vic. Vic was actually on the Flashcast last night. I watched that earlier. So the gist of it was he was going to be there for a signing for Aces Comics, a comic book store out here in SoCal, and then they brigaded and got him kicked out of the con. He wasn't there as a guest. He was just there for the signing. Because he wants to be able to interact with fans.
And the con basically said he's not going to be here. So Yeah, the Twitter crowd, you know, I don't know. I would. It's stupid. But you know who also has been kicked out of conventions because of those kind of beliefs? Larry Higgins, creator of Niobe Comics.
It's
Larry,
true. I have.
yes,
Hail, Larry.
yeah,
Hail, brother, hail.
yeah, he has been
Yeah,
banned.
I posted a comment on that video that Tug put up where I basically said to listen and succumb to the Twidiots is stupid and should not be done.
Yeah,
Well-
sticking up for a man's right to due process meant that I was now exiled from said local con, and that I not only did it exile me, it exiled me for life.
Yeah,
Wait, which
And
con
then
was
that-
that?
all
exiled-
the other local cons within driving distance decided to follow suit with that. So it wasn't just one con, it was a domino effect.
Which
Oh,
con was that?
It's called the East Coast Comic Expo here in the East Coast of Canada.
Oh my gosh.
You got to understand too that I'm in Canada, so it's very sort of left leaning, especially the area that I'm in. And as soon as you cause any sort of controversy, they don't want the bad press. So it's easier to piss off one person than it is to piss off 50 who might have a grievance against you.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, Larry, because I don't remember if it's something I read in one of the articles I covered. Actually, I think it was, in fact. But I remember, I guess, reading that very same point you just made in an article I kind of went over, I think, within the past week or so. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, though, but where somebody did mention the idea of sometimes it's just simply easier to just, basically take out the one person as opposed to challenging the mob.
Well, this is it. Think about Star Trek too, right? The needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few or the one. My need was to go to this show, but the needs of some that were complaining against me were the many, right? So do you anger a bunch of people for the sake of one guy, or do you anger the one guy and save yourself a bunch of grief? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people love to quote that Star Trek thing because that was Spock's dying words.
That's
And they
what.
fail to remember that in the next movie, Kirk turned that around and says, no, the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many.
The needs of Kirk outweighed everything.
Well, there was
Kirk
definitely
needed
that.
his buddy back. You understand? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Mike
another
Jimmy.
one of
Good morning.
Spock's sayings was I don't know if it was Vulcan wide or not, but it was IDIC. So
I
Infinite
guess Vic is making the news
Yeah.
headlines again. Is that's what I'm to understand?
Yeah,
Well,
he was the guest of a vendor in Los Angeles. People realized online Vic was going to be there and started complaining. And then the Los Angeles con said, he's not going to be here.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Same story with me, just on a much smaller scale.
Well, you know though what the response to that is. The best response is to do that.
What's that now?
Don't patronize that con then. Don't patronize
Yeah.
if you were a fan of Vic and you were going there to see him, and then they told you no, he's not going to be here. Never again buy a ticket.
Yeah,
They
and
lose
they'll do fine
money
though.
there.
That's the
They
thing,
lose
right?
enough ticket money there, then they'll realize, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Share my screen for a sec, RJ. Let's give people.
I will do that. I just wanted to say hi to Alan Dunford in the chat and tell him that I already showed the Pocus Hocus books and talked about them.
I want to say hi to Mike Jimmy in the Legend of Korra.
and the
No,
print-
Life on Korra, not Legend. Well, there are some legends there, but
I thought it's called the Legend of Korra. What's it called?
Life on Korra.
Life.
Life on Korra.
I knew there was an L in there somewhere.
You're thinking of Legend of Zelda.
No, well,
Oh no,
Niobe-
you're thinking of the what was it? Legend of Korra, Korra.
that might be.
Hmm.
Well, that's an Avatar thing. Yeah. Niobe creator Larry Higgins reportedly banned from exhibiting at the East Coast Comic Expo due allegedly to expressing support for Vic Mignogna's right to due process.
Bounding into comics needs a headline writer.
I mean, that's a long one, right?
That's a paragraph.
Wow.
That's the lead right there.
And they could have picked a better picture for me if we like. There's a lot of stuff here. I guess the picture I had is no longer in there, but they had this like ugly mug shot of me. Like I was just like, oh man, you guys could not have like asked me for a picture. I would have given you one, you know. and so this was back in April 23 of 2019. This is when my cancellation essentially came into effect. And I was at a different con, not even the con that kicked me out. I was at a different con in a place in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where I got into a small debate with a very fat and very bald-headed lefty. And he went to his Facebook page to berate me all day at the con. And then I was wondering why no one was coming to my table and I was getting all these strange looks. Well, when I got back from the con that day, I found out, you know, that this guy had been sabotaging me just because he didn't like my support of Vic, you know. And this is all it takes, you know. I mean, this is all. I wonder if the screenshot's still there. No, okay. But this is all it takes to get banned from somewhere. All you have to do is say or speak something that goes against the status quo. You are now automatically a target. And you're easy pickings because usually you're standing alone against the mob, like you had brought up before. I love the term lynch mob because that's exactly what happened. The lynch mob came, they had their nooses, they were ready to hang someone, and I was their target. I was, you know, the easy target, you know.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not talking about somebody standing up for somebody who is really doing what Vic was accused of. We're standing up for someone who hasn't been convicted and for which there was no evidence other than somebody on Twitter saying stuff. No one has ever, you know.
Well,
I'll tell you how this went down.
Some of the accusations sounded pretty nonsensical to begin with. Okay, pretty much from jump when I heard Jamie's accusation, that one's like, I don't think that really happened because, as if you guys remember, I don't know if you guys remember hearing about what her Jimmy Markey I'm talking about. She basically accused Vic of the whole hair pulling thing while they were in like a reception area at Funimation. Okay?
Yeah, he pulled my pigtails.
Yeah, well, the best one was the belly bean one, right?
And I found that. Because even if this supposedly happened back in 2011, I found that quite incredulous because here's the thing. Even at a place like Funimation, if you're in a reception area like that, there's got to be at least a receptionist there and or a security guard there. I don't think, it's like, I don't care if it's like 5 o'clock. Somebody else has got to be there to be able to confirm or deny if that actually happened. And she's saying that no, there wasn't. And so I found that story pretty incredulous.
Yeah, the convention was so sparsely attended that nobody was in the area. but yeah, you're right. The jelly bean story was just
that was another one.
Top level trolling.
He said he ate out Monica Real. You know.
Yeah, he said he ate her. Because the jelly bean said Monica on it. He popped it in his mouth. He said, I just ate Monica.
Yeah, but they took it as like he was eating her out. Like,
yeah.
You know, they made it a
I think we all now know what connotation that means, but
yeah, well, it could have been said with the intention of a double entendre with a safety valve of, no, I just meant I ate the bean, but which has another double connotation to it too.
But, I mean, here's the thing, when this all went down, it was if you were white, straight, and male, and you were in these industries, you were and still are a potential target for these people. They've deemed that this is the stereotypical bad guy in their universe now is a straight white male. And that's exactly what Vic was. Vic did like the ladies. Let's not lie. He was a charmer. And that's it. Me, white straight male. Okay, it was easy to get rid of me. This is the world we live in. If you're not LGBTQ, you don't have pronouns in your name. you're not waving the flag or calling yourself an ally, you're the enemy to these people. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and you can see that in the comic book stories a lot too. It's almost you can anticipate it. Gee, we're watching the movie. Who's going to be the bad guy? I'm going to go for the blonde-haired white guy. And you'll normally be right. Look at Suicide Squad. You know who screwed everything up on that? Peacemaker.
Because it's socially acceptable to do that now. If you were to put a black guy or a black queer woman as the villain, imagine the hate you would get.
Well, it's socially acceptable. We have socially acceptable villains.
Here's where we've gotten to. First off, from a biblical perspective, we're basically where Isaiah warned us we would be. Okay, and Isaiah, I don't remember the exact number or verse, whatever, but it said, there will come a point one day in which right will be called wrong and wrong will be called right. That's kind of where we're at with all this. Okay. Let's see. And also, at least from the racial aspect of it, I think there's a good chunk of, African Americans. They don't want equality. They want apartheid.
Yeah.
They want the 180 of what they believe historically has been happening to them since, the dawn of our country. They don't want equality. There's section. I'm not saying every one of them.
Yeah.
There's a portion within that community. They do not want equality.
Well, look at the disaster called
apartheid.
Santa Inc. and Seth Rogen's comments,
Oh, yeah.
How that became like the worst rated television show ongoing right now. And it was like, oh, I see tens of thousands of white supremacists have come out in unison to downvote our show. Diversity is needed now more than ever. No, dude.
There aren't tens of thousands of white supremacists.
Yeah, well, I mean, to them, and I heard clarification on this, right? So there's this leftist YouTuber called Forced Adversity. You guys ever hear of him?
I'm aware.
Yeah, he went up in a quasi debate against EVS.
Right.
Yeah.
So Forced Adversity actually clarify what white supremacy means, at least to him and probably to a lot of leftists. He says it's not that you're out there saluting Hitler and wearing the KKK. He says that's not what we talk about when we mean white supremacy. He means that you are white and you are fine with today's current system that benefits white people. So if you aren't out there protesting against the government and the current system and the courts and the police and all this, if you're not with them on that, then you are fine with the white supremacy, with its systemic racism.
And that's definitely millions. That's definitely millions of people. That's a position known as centrism.
Yeah.
Well. Here's my interpretation of that line of reasoning. Here's my interpretation. If you're for law and order, you're for an orderly discussion of topics and trying to win hearts and minds as opposed to rioting in the streets and trying to force your will on people. If you're for the more orderly communication of your ideas and you're for law and order, therefore that makes you a white supremacist. That's what I think their thought process is. Right.
Yeah, well,
you just
that's
rechanged the definition.
That's the political center. That's where we're supposed to be most of the time in America. Is right there with due process, like you said, law and order, a rule-based system, essentially.
Well, there are people pulling strings that are trying to troll the system without, not necessarily internet troll, just troll society. You had this thing today where there were people marching in unison with these matching khaki pants and these Captain America shields or whatever they were. They're like, oh, look, the white supremacists are out. I'm like, no, those are yellow pre-printed signs. Conservatives have never carried those. those are mass produced and get off a bus usually before a riot. But this is not a grassroots movement that just walked into town here.
But anyways, I want to ask RJ something because this also to kind of move on to another topic here. I remember you did an interview with Lou Scheimer.
Yeah.
And I know that, so I know you've actually had some personal interaction with him. of everybody here, you probably have some. You probably know him to some extent. You guys,
Knew him. He died several
Sure.
years ago now.
Yeah, I know that. I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure everybody knows about what's been going on with Kevin Smith and what he's been doing to Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Yep.
RJ, what I wanted to ask you, since you're the one who kind of knew Mr. Scheimer before he passed on, how do you think he might react to what Kevin Smith did to Masters of the Universe?
Well, you have to remember that they didn't own He-Man. He-Man was a toy line that contracted them to create stories. Now, the stories were original, but the characters were not theirs in the least.
So they were owned by Mattel, right?
Yeah, they were owned by Mattel. And, you were basically producing a 30-minute commercial that you got away with airing by having a 30-second stinger at the end of, what the lesson of the episode was. G.I. Joe and Transformers did the same thing. It was one of those things where Congress had to crack down and said, hey, you have to have so many hours of educational television on to get your credits.
Which came about in 1993.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't speak for him. I don't know how he would feel about it. I don't think even Kevin Smith did all the stuff that he's getting. I think that came down from on high from Netflix, and they said, Kevin Smith, we're bringing you on to produce this thing, and this is what you're going to do.
That is very likely. Yeah, you can see that with a lot of different shows, where the product and the creative freedom within those shows is very limited from the one who is actually financing it. Yeah. And that's gonna keep going like that because they don't have the money themselves. They want to create something with an IP that they love, but they have to make compromises to a point where you really can't call it theirs anymore, but you can't deny the work that they put into it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, based on the little I know and based on what I saw in the interview and stuff, my guess is I don't think he would have been too thrilled about it, quite honestly. That'd be my impression.
Well, he'd have been less thrilled by the fact that he didn't get to produce it.
Yeah.
But you did also mention G.I. Joe and Transformers, which could be a good segue into another thing that's been talked about, IDW.
Up for sale.
Yeah.
Really?
I know Ethan was talking about it. Ethan was talking about that earlier today, too.
I thought it was IDW, Dark Horse, and Boom. All of them.
Yeah. All three of them up for sale.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Boom Studios, too?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a little surprised. Aren't they based over in England or something like that?
No. Boom is American.
No, you're thinking of Titan.
Well, I've seen Boom Studios through some of the articles I've read on Bounding into Comics. So
Boom and
caps. You're talking about Boom
and Oni.
I think and the exclamation point, right?
I think Boom and Oni are one unit at this point. Yeah.
Well, I know. Didn't Oni also buy Lion Forge?
Oh, sorry. I misspoke. It's Lion Forge and Oni are one unit. That's correct. Okay. You're right. Sorry about that.
I didn't know if maybe Boom owned Oni and Oni bought Lion Forge.
I'm sorry. You are correct. You're correct. I don't know if Lion Forge is up for sale, but those other three definitely are. It was all announced. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know when Ethan was talking about it this morning, I guess he was pointing out that IDW is practically begging people to buy them. Especially with what happened with Hasbro, because Hasbro, I guess, is not happy with what they've been doing with the titles. One of the points I brought up the other night, during my show, because Dell and Gold Key were kind of one of the first ones to do this, was the idea of licensing other properties to do comic adaptations. Well, Of course, IDW was doing that for the Hasbro products with Transformers, G.I. Joe, and I guess their sales haven't been all that great. And I know
for years, Tug's been all over that.
Yeah, I saw that video too. I love it when Tug does those sales analysis videos.
Well, but they're losing a property. IDW say goodbye to G.I. Joe and Transformers in 2022. There was a report that came out from San Diego Comic-Con that confirms that. You know, in fact, some of these companies are even looking to sell themselves, you know, because that's how bad the comic book industry is hurting. Some of these smaller publishers just can't cut the grade anymore.
Yeah. So my question about all that is this: who will back me if I open up a GoFundMe to get the funds to buy these companies?
Probably no one. I mean,
Well,
I guarantee that's
I
gonna
might, and it might not be a huge amount.
They
I don't
will.
need it not from any one person. I just need a little bit from everybody.
Here's my prediction: IDW loses the license to both the Hasbro products, as Hasbro's not happy. Guess who picks it up? It's only one answer:
EVS.
Marvel, because Marvel had both of them before.
Marvel did have both of them before. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. It goes back to G.I. Joe.
The problem is though, with that reasoning, you're right in that they had those properties before, but considering what's been going on with all this agenda pushing, with woke agenda pushing and all that, I don't know if Hasbro would really be look too fondly on the idea of
you don't think they trust Marvel with
their titles from one kind of woke company that basically sent them into the toilet to another woke company that is pretty much showing that they're doing the same thing.
Tell me a comic book company that isn't woke right now. That
I know.
That could handle Transformers.
Independent guys. I know.
That's never going to happen. They're never going to license those huge properties to some indie dude. Never.
No, there'd have to be Hasbro Comics, is what it would have to be.
Well, Ethan was even talking about the idea of trying to get them to sell it to him.
Well, let's
then we get a G.I. Joe every year and a half.
What kind of fan backlash would Hasbro get if the leader of Comicsgate had those properties? Okay, that would be a shitstorm in the making. That would be
maybe that shitstorm needs to happen. Maybe
it's not going to happen. They're not going to risk it.
No, they're not going to risk it.
Maybe that shit's it's funny. The one thing that I think a lot of people sometimes tend to forget, there is an old saying here: evil triumphs when good people sit and do nothing.
Dude, you're looking at woke content for the next 10 years.
Yeah. See, here's the only way it could work, and that would be if EVS said, "Let me license a graphic novel, not the series. Let me license a book, and we'll crowdfund it as a trial." And first of all, it would crowdfund out the ass. It would get huge numbers. That would get Hasbro's attention. Second of all, you'd get it in 2026. That would also get Hasbro's attention.
I was going to say it'd take 3 years to get the book. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So Larry talked about woke content for the next 10 years. Here's two examples really briefly. First of all, I've been watching Invasion, okay, on Apple TV, right? And if you look at Invasion, it's about the stories of several different characters around the world who experience an invasion. You barely get to see the aliens at all until episode 7. But the point is, each one of these stories independently has a significant woke element, and each element is different. And it seems like it was planned out very carefully to include these elements in every story. One is about colonialism. Another is about a very strong Muslim female character. There is a third that's about a Japanese lesbian astronaut. So you have a lot of that. And another thing I noticed this week is I was watching Hawkeye, and it looks like Marvel actually came upon a new type of intersectional aspect that they haven't tackled before, and that is disability activism. Did anybody watch Hawkeye?
No. People and deaf.
So yes, exactly. In the story, and I'm not going to be spoilery about it, there is Echo. Everybody knows Echo's in there, and she'll eventually have her own series, right? Where she is the champion, the main character of that series, right? So she starts out as this villain in the Hawkeye Kate Bishop show, and she expresses extreme deaf activism. I won't tell you how, but I'm getting a lot of pushback on this. People don't think it's so, but I watched the third episode several times, and I was like, this is, and deaf activism is not new. I mean, because there's a substantial minority of the deaf community who, don't want anybody to use hearing aids, right? So that they can pass on deaf culture, what they call deaf culture, from one person to another. And because 90% of all deaf people have hearing parents, right? So you can't really pass on a culture when you don't have, a connection like that. So
Right.
this is what I saw by the third episode. I clearly saw strident deaf activism in that show that must be passed along to the next show, because Echo is going to be the main character. So she's going to be the person standing for that cause in the next show. Whereas in the Hawkeye show, we're mainly talking about Hawkeye being replaced by Kate. That's the main thrust, right? And Echo is the secondary thrust. But in the next show, Echo will be the primary thrust, and the thrust of that show is deaf activism, straight up.
I'm tired of villains becoming heroes of their own shows.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. She's a villain, and yet by the next show, they will make every opportunity and every effort to make her into a likable anti-heroine, I guess, is how one would put it, right? And her champion cause will be deaf activism. You can mark my words right there.
Well, if you guys want to take a break from modern day garbage, you can always come by my channel on Friday nights and look back on what heroes and villains really were, and how they were being sold back all those years ago.
Robert says crowdfunding numbers are what's that word? Infinitesimal. I don't know what the hell that means.
Infinitesimal.
Large funders, 2,500 books. Megs Massages has better numbers in a direct market. Good direct sales are 200,000. Let me tell you why that is. Because there's still a lot of people out there that don't even know what the hell Kickstarter and Indiegogo are. There are a lot of people out there that, even if they do know what they are, don't want to pay $25 or $30 plus $20 shipping for a fucking comic book when they can go to their LCS and pick one up for $5.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
all
why.
Crowd Thunder books ought to end up in the LCS when the crowdfunder's over.
But I'll tell you
that you should get the book and collectible extras.
If
Then
Megs
LCS
Massaggio crowdfunded her own book and got 2,500 backers, she probably make more money than people buying those books at 200,000 at the LCS.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, she doesn't have any.
RJ, did you hear what I was saying before you kind of left us?
Yeah, I let the thing up running. I just got up to get some water.
Yeah. So
she doesn't have any 200,000 books. Hers are in the 25,000 range.
Well,
Robert
you
was
saw
just
what,
saying. Robert was saying that good direct sales are 200,000. Yes, but like the books that she did, like for example, Kim and Kim or Vagrant, those were more in the 8,000, 10,000, 15,000 range.
He says
Max does well in the numbers, but she doesn't do well in the money, or she wouldn't be running a GFM saying, "Hey, I can't pay my light bill this month."
Her second one, she's running her second one. She ran her first one 3 years ago.
Wow.
Roberts is saying his Canadian shipping charges are $40. Then you're charging too much. Listen, I'm in Canada. I can ship to the United States with tracking for $16 Canadian, which is about $12 US. Flat out.
And if you're trying to ship to the U.S., a bunch of books,
border in the other direction is much more expensive.
I would want to see someone actually go to the post office, get the receipt, and show me the exact cost on paper. Because I think a lot of these guys out there are charging way too much for shipping and ripping people off. I'm not saying Robert is one of them, but I'm saying I've seen it, and I want to actually start seeing receipts of these shipping costs.
Okay.
So from the Netherlands, it's $35 to send anything, from a smaller package. Unless it's, literally a letter, but a mailer, like a Gemini or whatever, is starting at 30. So, yeah, that's from across the sea.
And I can tell you that you're right. Jimmy's right, and I can tell you that sending 5 copies of an issue to Edmonton was, in fact, about $40.
Yeah.
So,
well, the more you send, the more it weighs and the more it costs.
Sure, but still.
But I don't understand why it's cheaper for me and it's not cheaper for you guys. And and all that divides us is an imaginary line.
Well, yeah,
I mean, in Jimmy's
making
case,
sure that
Jimmy's
I'm not,
overseas, right?
putting
For
any
me to
docs
send to
on.
Australia is $30, right? Anytime it has to go over an ocean, you know what I mean? I mean, yes, there's going to be extra costs, you know.
Okay, there's no doxing on this. This is a package that I shipped for one of our clients. We only had one going to Canada, so there was no hub-based discount. You can see this is basically a Gemini mailer. I don't even think there was a tube of a rolled-up poster tube going with this one. If there was, it would have still been level B of media mailing, which this one couldn't go media mail. It was first class. $20.19.
So it's more expensive going the other way.
It's not that much more expensive.
Ro-
$20.
Robert
That's a
pointed
different
something
book.
out there, guys. You might want to look at.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
you are looking at going
$20
into
and
Canada.
14
Yeah.
cents, that's a far cry from $40. That's over double the price.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, again, I don't know how big of a book he was getting either. It gets expensive real quick. This was, again, a comic book. And for me saying, hey, you know, we're going to charge $20 to ship a comic book, if that is what it is. But now, of course, that was the U.S. postal rate. You got to take into account that I also charged, you know, the packaging material and my own fee. So it was closer to like $26 by the time it was all done.
Still not $40. I mean,
Still
like
not $40.
if I'm backing a book and I see that the book costs more in shipping than it does for the book, I'm not getting the book.
Well, that's why we started the business.
Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, we shipped your book. What did we come up with on those? Do you remember? Per unit?
€8.
€8, yeah.
$10.
$10 from the Netherlands to the U.S.
Yeah. So for me to send a really big package of 20 kilos, so like 50 pounds, is €145. Actually, it went down, so it's 123 now, and I can fit about 150 books in there. So that brings that price down to less than €1 per book.
Yeah.
Then for my upcoming series, I'm gonna take care of, I'm gonna let RJ do all the putting it in boxes. So it's going to be a little more, it's going to probably be around $12, which is the same price as the book. And that's only for the low tiers. It doesn't matter if you get a low tier or a high tier, it's still going to be those $12.
Yeah, and Mike, you're going to have to check on this when we're ready to ship, because since you shipped, we did the Glen and Monsterland books for Kevin Philpott in Ireland, and he, had a 20 kilogram package because that was the maximum size. They changed the rules to a 10 kilogram maximum package. I don't know if that's Europe wide or if that was just like Ireland.
That is just Ireland. Okay. You got to keep in mind that Ireland is a very relatively remote island. So for them to get a direct line, they have to fly over to England and then have a long flight to the United States.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands has a direct flight. And that's why it's a lot cheaper, because we have a direct postal line. Shelby, what are you doing? So, yeah, for me it actually went down. But I can still send up to 23 kilograms, which is like almost 60 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I do, when we do a campaign, I sit down with somebody, I say, how much is it going to weigh? What all are you going to add to it? And then I do tell them, round it up $2, because you don't know if they're going to change shipping rates. And honestly, if it's going to cost you $13 to ship and you put down $15, nobody's going to freak out on that. It's, it's when it's going to cost you, when you're going to stick a stamp on the back of the cover and you charge $20 for shipping. That's when people raise hell, and rightfully so.
Obviously, and we have to think about different kinds of postage as well, because I'm going to send in the plushies. So for Lavacora 5,
exactly,
these are 12 by 8 inches. So you got to keep them in mind. Like, we need a bigger box,
or a bag.
Or a bag, yeah.
or a box in a bag. We've done that. Apparently, it's cheap. If you put a box in a bag, you can send it as a bag, and it's cheaper than sending a box. I'm starting to see Amazon do this all the time now. In fact, they're putting on there, this package is lighter than a box. So they're using a bag. But if you put the box in a bag and you tape the bag shut, and then you're like, well, this looks all wonky, and you start folding the bag around the box, it's a box again. So don't do that. Don't gift wrap your box in your bag. Just let it float in there. It'll be fine.
Let it hang free.
Free ball it.
There's going to be 7 variants, that people can get. So if they get the full package for Laughing Korra 5, because we're going a little overboard, that's going to be like over an inch of comics.
Well, you're at the point now where you should be doing a trade paperback sometime.
I'm going to. I just, I'm so busy working on getting the next comic out that I don't have time. And my colorist is reworking Laughing Korra 1 and 2. And until then, when the coloring is all the same over all issues, I'm not going to put out a trade yet.
Well, I'll be looking for that, and I will definitely back it. I do back books. I don't back them often. Right now, like I said, I'm puncturing myself for money, selling my body on the streets to science. I've got a financial goal that I've got to try and hurry up and hit. So to start making my life a little easier.
So RJ, you're a warrior of plasma.
Yes, I am a warrior of plasma. Where's Prime? I need Prime.
And not the plasma who has to stay asleep, or he just becomes this big blob of chemical.
Yeah, there was a book actually called Warriors of Plasma, or Plasm, Warriors of Plasm. But yeah, who did that? That was a
Continuity. Malibu? Neil Adams Continuity Comics.
Okay, yeah.
Terrible art, terrible coloring. There you go.
Well, that defined the entire line, didn't it?
I suppose. I don't know. Just that was really bad. Anyway.
All right. Moving on to another interesting tidbit that I was noticing recently, in the realm of money and comics, which would seem to be a far cry from what happened back in the 40s. So I know Ethan recently pointed out that it would seem that the United States government seems to be subsidizing Marvel and DC to push the woke agenda. And then we also saw in one of the other articles I read recently, founding in the comics, how the Biden administration was partnering with DC and Warner Media to push the childhood COVID vaccines. Considering where we were with the Comics Code Authority, if you guys remember, at that point where you had the comic book creators want to have nothing to do with the government, they were being cracked down upon because of Frederick Worthen's work in it, how he felt juvenile delinquency and comic books were connected, and how they ended up creating the Comics Code Authority to prevent the government from coming in and basically telling them what to do, to now being in bed with the government to be told what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that swing there? That like 80 year swing?
Well, it's the same thing that I've brought up before, where it's like, if during that same time period the government knocked on your door and said, hey, we're going to give you a tracking device that's going to tell us where you are at all times. It's really just for emergencies in case you get hurt. We can find you, but just carry it. Our great grandparents would have said, screw you, here's the end of my shotgun, get off my property. If the same people went there and said, hey, we want to just swab the inside of your mouth to get some of your DNA, we're going to put it in a computer system so that we can track it and keep you just have all your information physically, so if you go to the hospital it'll be in there. Hey, this DNA is yours. They'd react the same way. Fast forward to now, they're like, hey, we want to sell you a box that will track you wherever you are, and
Mhm.
report to us. And we want to charge you to swab your mouth for your DNA to put it in the computer system. We're all like, oh, take my money. Yes, please do.
We unfortunately have a generation that grew up on, basically where the government is their god. And, like for me, it's kind of funny. I see a lot of this victimization going on with a
Nanny
lot of these
state.
causes.
It's moving towards a nanny state. The European Union is a little closer than us.
Yeah.
Well, we went from an era where people trusted the government and could.
Even though I'm on disability, I do need it at this point until I can figure out a way to get off of it. But the thing is that we don't need to be a society of dependency. People should always consider striving to, but it's just,
Well, what you got to keep in mind, okay? Like, and this is coming from a dude that is a lot younger than most people currently in the scene. What I'm seeing is a lot of people my age, 28 to 30, 35, who have to work double jobs, get, with two people to even afford a 2-bedroom, like a 1-bedroom apartment. And that is partially because of capitalism. That is partially because of how free we want to be, especially in America, and to a point where you cannot be free anymore because you're just working your ass off to the bone. That self-reliance is impossible to maintain as someone our age in America.
Well, I think part of the problem
in America. No, it's
yeah.
Well, you're in the Netherlands, right?
I'm in the Netherlands, but what I'm seeing, like from a lot of people my age, like they're working their asses off. From people in America working their asses off to try and get by.
Then they need to move out of San Francisco and New York. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough, but there's
actually a shortage of workers.
Or what they need to do is they need to start settling for less too. I mean, you don't necessarily necessarily need a house in Beverly Hills to get by on. You can get by on a one bed. Most people can get by on a 1-bedroom apartment with the sink and stuff like that. The problem is that there's been this messaging for the last 25, 30, 40 years where it's like, well, if you're not rich, you're not happy. It's not your fault that you're not rich and happy. It's that rich, evil white man's fault. I mean,
I need to be able to get my Starbucks and my avocado toast.
Mm-hmm. I agree on that. We have been brought up with complete consumerism because every time something broke when we were kids, it got replaced. Nothing got fixed.
Yeah. And right now we have, at least last I checked, we had a shortage of workers, especially in the fast food industry era, which, is your like entry level job, because I've seen people quit Walmart at times when the Walmart started opening back up again, full time, no masks, all that good stuff. I was like, where are the carts at? Well, we don't have any cart pushers. We don't have enough hired. They all quit because it's easier for them to live off the monthly money they were getting, the Biden bucks that they were getting from the government, than it was for them to, work a job.
We had the same problem in Canada. No one wanted to work because they were getting $2,000 a month.
Wow.
We
didn't get anything.
Is there any correlation, by the way, RJ? You're in Arkansas, right? Yeah. I'm not sure how this phenomenon is there, but do you think there's also any correlation between the workforce's relative lethargy at this point and the fact that everywhere you go, you see CBD and vape stores opening everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really wish I'd have thrown my money into CBD rather than Litecoin.
the CBD stuff, all those stores, they're making people lethargic. And I think there's a connection. I mean, it's not the only cause, of course, but I think there's a definite connection there that they're opening everywhere. And the people who are running them are making a lot of money. But the people who are using them, the people who are running them are making a lot of money, granted. But the consumers are probably those people who are quitting the Walmart jobs to stay at home.
Well, yeah. Because here's the thing. If you can get your citizenry to where they're just all doped up and stupid and just very dependent upon the government.
That's Brave New World, Mike.
Huh?
Yeah.
Brave New World.
That's when they decant us.
You know, it used to be alcohol, but they figured out that it actually kills people a lot faster. So why not give them CBD?
Yeah. There it is.
And okay, so this is from a guy in the Netherlands, so I know stuff about CBD and weed.
Oh yeah,
it's actually, it's looked
Tell us
down
about the
on.
Amsterdam.
Yeah, like as a Dutch person, if you use weed or whatever, it's really looked down on. You know, there is a social stigma against using it. Where it used to be maybe for 2 or 3 years when it got legalized, because it's not entirely legal. It's accepted. It's not legal.
Yeah.
It was cool and whatever, and all the kids were doing it, and then
90s.
they were like 80s, 90s, late 80s, 90s. You saw that the hippie movement started getting out the door, and harder drugs were starting to be a thing, and everyone at work didn't want to use.
From an earlier time. The hippie movement goes back to the 60s.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they were using it back then too. Don't get me wrong.
They were using it back in George Washington's time. He was growing it.
I got to bounce, RJ. I got to bounce.
All right,
I gotta
Larry.
get ready for a show. We're gonna actually stream snipe Dean and Vicky tonight.
Oh, okay.
And because they're gonna be talking about me tonight.
Well, then you got to stream snipe them and record.
Yeah. They didn't. Well, they're gonna do commentary and talk about the video that we did about scams in comics.
Oh boy.
And they're going to go live in
boy.
about an hour. So I got to hop in the shower and get my stream ready, because we're going to do our live reactions and live commentary tonight, folks. Niobe
Head over
Comics
to the
Live.
Niobe channel.
Ooh.
Rebel Gaming channel, right?
No,
Rebel
it's called
Comics.
Niobe Comics.
It is Niobe Comics now.
It's been everything's been rebranded to Niobe. I've basically thrown out the name Rebel.
Good idea. Because
Keep
nobody
everything
knew what
underneath
that was.
one banner. And also, folks, I'm pretty sure. Don't hold me to this because I've been wrong now 3 times. But I'm pretty sure Exciting Comics 17 comes out this week, according to Diamond. So if you want Niobe for $5, you don't want to pay that horrendous $30 shipping that we talked about a little earlier, go pick it up at your local shop, because I think that is the future of crowdfunding comics.
And if you can't find it at your local shop, tell them to get it and all the other Antarctic titles.
Correct.
Antarctic.
All right,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
Antarctic. Yeah.
Have a good one.
Stay awesome, David. See you around.
See you around, brothers.
See you, Larry. Thank you.
Bye, Larry.
Mike, I saw, speaking of the CBD thing, I saw an interesting article today because CBD has been legalized at the first of all, what's interesting is it's been legalized in every single state at the state level, but federally it's still illegal. I'm like,
excuse my ignorance for a moment, but what exactly is CBD?
CBD is pot.
No. There's a big difference, actually. So you have THC, which is one of the active components, and then there's CBD, which is the counter component.
Cannabinol.
Yeah.
But it's a pot extract.
Yeah, and
you can get them in gummies.
Or I'm
you can
sorry,
get them
cannabidiol, not cannabidiol.
As in cannabis.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
So THC is the component that will make you very lazy. It will make you tired. It will make you paranoid on the long run. And it's really not a matter of if it will, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
And CBD is the counter. And they even each other out. And the last 20 years, or 20, 30 actually, the plants that we've been smoking, especially in the Netherlands, have been bred to have a lot of THC and very little CBD. Whereas
population paranoid.
Exactly. Well, it has a different effect, and a lot of people prefer that effect on the short term.
Yeah.
But CBD is actually counters anxiety, it counters being paranoid, etc. I am personally very much into CBD. I really like. Even I have taken it when I had panic attacks and stuff. You know, my old roomie that used to hire it and rent this room was, you know, a big pothead. Whatever, I don't care. And yeah, it works against those things. But if you focus on, like, when you just smoke weed, it's probably going to be completely chock full of THC, which is going to make you paranoid and lazy and squirrel-minded, you know. And I'm very glad to see, you know, the CBD being put in and becoming a bigger thing.
The dispensaries in San Francisco, the people who were going there, they're not going to the dispensaries anymore. They're going back to the street drug dealers because the street drug dealers don't charge you tax.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper. So the government getting their slice of it has driven the cost up to where it's you know, it kept the dealers still in business, still selling it on the street. Which was the whole legalization argument was that it would take the illegal drug dealers out of business, and you wouldn't have this anymore. No, it's just
if
good for everybody apparently.
Not if you're gonna charge like 30% taxes on it. Like you're kicking yourself out of business.
Yeah. I think the best story I ever heard about these dispensaries was the little girl who set up her Girl Scout cookie stand outside of one, and sold out. Just like it's like if I had a vending machine for snacks, I'd put it right there.
Actually, one of the things I heard one time, in fact, even in reference to Scooby-Doo to a certain extent, apparently, if you do smoke a lot of pot, it makes you more hungry.
Yeah, you get those munchies. Not that I've never smoked anything.
Neither about for me. Aside from prescription medications, I have never really done any drugs nor alcohol. Albeit one time back, I think in high school, there might have been somebody might have spiked my soda. But other than that, I have never like knowingly, willingly done any like illicit drugs or alcohol.
Yeah,
remember if somebody offers you drugs or alcohol, you just say no.
Right.
I wanted to do my He-Man thing there.
Right.
So the 18-year-old me didn't listen to any of that.
Universe.
I should. Nancy Reagan. Ronnie would say, "There you go again, RJ. There you go again."
Well, mommy.
Well.
I miss him. I
really.
You know, I should. I know that StreamYard is adding a whole bunch of functions coming up here. And I know that they listen to input. I've actually had my input listened to. I'm going to say, hey, it's great that you can add these videos and have them here. How about adding sound bites? Because it'd be great to have our own little built-in soundboard, and just play little snips of something, so that you don't have to go out and buy these expensive things that you plug into your system and hope they work. Because I have a system. I'm surprised my microphone works, and I've listened to replays, and I don't really think it does. I think I still get a crackle the whole time that I'm talking.
No, you sound great.
Yeah,
well, good. Maybe I must have had a loose wire at some point. Then I changed the way I used to have the microphone coming up and be like this, and then the plugged in was like this. It was probably just always gravity pulling the cord down. Now I've got it hanging down and the cord plugged in up top, and it's probably a more solid connection.
And you always have the
I got this
windscreen?
one last week, and
Ah.
it's way better.
Yeah, did you guys always have the windscreen too?
Yeah.
No, the windscreen came with this microphone when I bought it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but normally I was just using whatever was built into this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was my mic. So, and if I just unplug this, then it's the internal speaker mic. Because I figured, you know, as long as they can hear me, what does it care what the sound quality is? Apparently, it matters quite a bit because the sound quality really
Yes, it
sucks.
does.
If people can't understand you. Yeah, then there you go.
Yeah, I got myself a new webcam as well. You know, went from the Logitech C720 to the C920. And the difference is amazing, but the microphone in there crackles the moment I put, you know, over 5 decibels into my voice.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was gonna say I can tell you're crackling tonight even some, but I just thought it was.
I can hear that too.
that could be just my connection and the fact that I'm using Firefox.
Yeah, very very much because I think StreamYard really likes Chrome.
Yeah, they do, but when I try to launch StreamYard on Chrome, my computer just crashes. So I have to use Firefox. Yeah, I need to get an upgrade on this machine anyway, so I'm gonna.
You need to upgrade your machine as soon as you buy it. That's as fast as things go.
Well, yeah, but I got it 6 years ago, and it's been doing a wonderful job. It's a workhorse. But yeah, it's been worked to the bone. So
It's not the same device you draw. You do all the Life on Cora work, is it?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Oh, dude, do not put that machine out of commission. You can't afford to lose anything on it.
Well, no, I'm not gonna put it out of commission. Like my hard drives, like I got everything on Google Drive, and then I got everything on my hard drive. The moment I switch machines, like the hard drives are gonna go straight into the other one.
Yeah, you need to transfer those hard drive contents onto solid state media, so that it's not something that's spinning around all the time.
Solid state
yeah.
media. Is that anything like Solid State Society?
No, totally different.
No.
Little Ghost in the Shell reference from the movie there. I wanted to bring up one more thing now that we are into December. So we're going to, you know, obviously a lot of Christmas movies will be coming out. Probably one of my all-time favorite, of course, Christmas movie is Yogi's First Christmas. I wonder if you guys have ever seen that before.
I have not, and that's one I never hear come up on any list.
No.
Yogi's First Christmas came out in November 26, 1980. I can count on one hand the number of times I've missed it throughout my entire life here. I pretty much have watched. It's practically a Christmas tradition for me to watch it. It's, you know, basically Yogi. The premise is Yogi and Boo Boo are in there.
We're supposed to be hibernating.
Yeah, they're supposed to be hibernating, and all of a sudden he hears this boom, 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 you know, from above his cave, and he goes up and he kind of discovers Chris. Well, I'm usually sleeping through Christmas. You know, it's like, and the thing is that there's this lady who so this all centers around the Jellystone Lodge. Okay, it's been losing money because some little hermit in the hills, in the area, has been trying to get. You know, he doesn't like. You know, he's another Scrooge type villain. Hates Christmas. Hates the festivities. So he tries to scare everybody away and causing this lodge to start losing money. And so the lady who owns the lodge comes for the Jellystone Christmas carnival, and they believe that if she has a good enough time, then she'll keep it open. Yeah, Yogi's. It's a
Huh.
classic. It's a very good story. I mean, it's something I would highly recommend people watch. I mean, granted, all the main voice actors who were involved in it have now since passed. I think Janet Waldo was the most recent. She passed a couple years ago, but you had Dawes Butler as Yogi. You had Don Messick as, of course, Ranger Smith, Boo Boo. John Stevenson as Augie, as Doggy Daddy. Hal Smith as, of course, Otto the Chef and Santa Claus. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, Hal Smith was Santa Claus on a few animated Christmas cartoons, including Flintstones Christmas as well, I believe. And then Janet Waldo providing the voice of Sophie Throckmorton, the lodge owner, and Cindy Bear, and then Marilyn Schlatner, I believe.
The Snagglepuss is in there too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You're
it's
right there on
Chris
the credit.
McGraw, Augie Doggy, Augie Doggy, and Doggy Daddy. Yeah, so it's a good story. It's something I would highly recommend. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and try to watch it.
Yeah, my favorite has always been Muppet Christmas Carol.
I was going to ask you.
Many of the
good.
adaptations of A Christmas Carol have been good too. Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, Flintstone Christmas Carol, Jetson's Christmas Carol, which is more of an episode as opposed to an actual movie. But
Yeah, I didn't grow up on that much Hanna-Barbera. So I've really been catching up on that like in my early 20s. So yeah, a lot of it because we don't get as much.
If you're in your late 20s, yeah, by the time you probably Hanna-Barbera may have been on its last legs by the time you were watching cartoons, because Hanna-Barbera started kind of dying out in the late 80s, early 90s there. Even though, of course, Cartoon Network had picked up, I don't know if it was Warner Brothers or Cartoon Network had picked up a lot of their properties. And I see RJ and Heroinberg both put a link to it.
Well, I linked to the Amazon in case anybody wants to get it for themselves, and Heroinberg linked to the Wikipedia page.
Hey, I noticed there's also a Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. So
I had mentioned that earlier. Yeah. There have been a number of different properties that have adapted that tale to their Mr. Magoo's Christmas, Flintstones Christmas Carol, the Jetsons.
Okay.
There have been a number of different properties that have adapted that story. So, of course, Mr. Magoo, voiced by the late Jim Backus.
Yep. It's good. There is wait, what?
There's a very small image of Mike Jimmy's favorite, the Muppet Christmas Carol. My favorite is available on DVD. my favorite is still on VHS. That's where I have to watch it. And that is Blackadder's A Christmas Carol. Talking about the adaptations. Oh, are you familiar with the Blackadder series?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they did
This is the first I've heard of Blackadders.
Oh, Blackadder is a BBC production with Rowan Atkinson before he did Mr. Bean, and every season was a different Blackadder down the family line. So you start off in this very Edwardian kind of era, and then you move on into like World War I. This was, of course, in the Victorian era. This was a Blackadder we had never seen before, and he always has his manservant Baldric there, and it's very raunchy. It's very bawdy in terms of language and jokes. I mean, and he's always an evil kind of person. He's always out for himself. In this one here, he's a very kind-hearted person, and everyone's taking advantage of him all the time. Until the three ghosts of Christmas come up and show him his life, and they're like we want to bless you because you've been so good, and the ghost of Christmas future takes him to the future, and he's like he's Baldric in the future, and Baldric's running things. And
I think there have even been some companies have just done a straight up animated adaptation of A Christmas Carol, like Rankin Bass may have done one.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think a few animated companies, aside from the properties that we talked about, have also done their own their own animated adaptations of, A Christmas Carol.
Well, the twist on this one though is that once the spirits are done with him, they've turned him totally against Christmas. They're like, no, that's not what we mean. He's like, and he gets up and he's like, he opens the Baldric's like, we have carolers outside, and he goes and opens the door and slams it in their face. And Baldric's like, well, what happened to the milk of human kindness, sir? It's gone off, Baldric. It's sour. And the kicker was that Queen Victoria actually comes to visit him because she's heard of how kind and generous and everything he's been, and he thinks she's an imposter, and he's like, smacking her on the ass and just and he doesn't find out to the end that it was really her, which is the typical Blackadder. It's like, oh, I'm doing something for myself. Oh, I could have actually won something for myself if I'd have behaved.
Well, I mean, Blackadder, which might indicate more of a darker tone, right?
Oh, yeah. That was his when he worked. Hugh Laurie was in a lot of these before he came over to be House MD and other stuff. And he was always an idiot. He was in several eras. He was the Prince Regent for Blackadder, and then there was he was one of the colonels in Blackadder Goes Forth, which was in the fourth season, and it was the World War I season. Very cool stuff. Hey, Wise Guys Entertainment, good to see you here. Thanks for popping in. We're just kind of wandering around. Blackadder, yeah, you've seen the show, yes. Best TV show ever made. I wish they put it on DVD, other than Region 2, which is apparently all they've got out there.
Actually, that reminds me of one of my history segments over the past couple of months. I guess from back in '81. I think it was in October, November of '81, in which Danger Mouse had made its debut. I'd seen that on one of my, noted that on one of my This Day in Each History segments.
Danger Mouse is another great series.
Danger Mouse, do.
Oh, this
Danger Mouse.
Oh, now I want to see that again. All right. Well, yeah, I've got DVDs that I haven't watched. I've got the Zack Snyder Justice League, which I really, really want to watch. But every time I sit down and say, hey, I think I'm going to watch it now, my mind projects 4.5 hours into the future and says, yeah, but you've got something happening in 3 hours. You don't have the time to sit down and watch this epic movie.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah. You can't watch. It's difficult to watch it in one sitting. You really have to take 2 days.
I hate doing that.
Yeah,
I've had to do it, but
yeah, it has to be done in 2 days. You can't do it.
Maybe they should have released it on 2 DVDs with an intermission.
Yeah, they need to split it in a certain place that's appropriate. But I don't remember where I stopped on the first day. But
from what I hear, it's an entirely different movie.
Yeah. Well, what, from the original? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I got to watch it because I started watching it because I have because I'm a media guy here and I've got Warner Brothers access to preview stuff. So I was able to watch it online on the media login page where it's got my name in little white letters floating all over the screen in case I decide to capture it. They'll know who did it. And I got as far as Bruce Wayne flying back from meeting Aquaman and Alfred's lecturing him on the plane. I'm like, I don't see too much different yet, but I see some. And then I was like, oh, time's up. I've got to quit.
Yeah, no, it'll get pretty different. And there's some totally irrelevant stuff in it that you wonder what the hell. So, yeah.
We threw it all in. And I don't know if it's going to matter or not, because I don't know if he's ever going to get to come back and do, the rest of it or not. I know The Flash is coming out in 2022. It's not going to be Zack Snyder, is it?
No.
All I want from the Flash movie in 2022, because I know everybody's doing a friggin' multiverse thing now. It's credit where credit's due. It's DC's. Marvel's jumping in with the Spider-Verse and the Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home. And honestly, Marvel is creating a situation that DC thought they had in the 80s when they had to do a Crisis and said, "Oh, we got too many multiverses. Let's just wipe it out and get down to one."
Which Flash are they focusing on? Is it Jay Garrick of Earth 2, or is it,
It's going to be many. It's going to be a couple of them.
So so it could be Jay Garrick, it could be Barry Allen of Earth 1. It could
no, the movie's going to be Barry Allen. The movie is absolutely
isn't the
Barry
movie
Allen.
about Flashpoint?
Yeah, the movie's about Flashpoint.
So,
which means it's going to get multiversal on it.
Yeah.
All I want from that movie is I want the exact same scene, exactly the way it was shot from the Flash television series, Crisis on Infinite Earths, from a separate camera angle. I just want Grant Gustin to zip into the screen while Ezra's doing whatever his thing is, and have the same exact conversation, and then Barry zips out, and then Ezra goes back to doing what he was doing. That would be multiversal. It would be a great crossover between the DC EU and the DC TV.
I don't see Grant Gustin being in the movie. Yeah, but
I don't either.
No.
Well, I mean, he's already shot the scene, is what I'm saying. They just need to take the scene. Did they shoot it with two cameras, and they used the movie camera for the movie, and they used the television camera for the TV?
What did Grant Gustin do that you think he won't be in the movie?
He's not the movie Flash.
Oh. No. It would be a walk-on. It would be a cameo thing of multiversal things.
Yeah.
Is Ezra Miller playing the other Flash as well, or is that another guy? Because there are two Flashes in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen the trailer for it, and they're both wearing red, and they're in the Batcave. They're in the Michael Keaton Batcave, talking with Michael Keaton, because they're doing the whole, as much as this is the Flash, all the news has been about, look how many Batmen are in it.
So what?
Let me ask you.
There's a Barry Allen and a Walt.
Let me ask you something, since you've said you've seen the trailer for the other Flash that you're referring to. Does he happen to be wearing like a silver helmet with like Mercury's wings on it?
Okay, Mike.
There's a Barry
I'm the
Allen.
last guy you have to educate about Jay Garrick. Okay, so I know the guy. No, he's wearing red spandex tights, almost exactly the same costume as the Ezra Miller Flash.
So it's Barry Allen and Wally West, or somehow, or
it's actually Barry Allen and Barry Allen from another multiverse.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, and together, and there was a scene with three people. I don't know who the third person was, but they're all standing in the Batcave, and you get a back glimpse of Michael Keaton, and the other Barry Allen, which I believe becomes a bad Flash, from what I've read. You see a scene of him pulling the canvas off of the 1989 Batmobile, and it cuts away just in time for you to not see the Batmobile, but it's what he was pulling it off of. You could tell by the shape. Apparently, Ezra Miller did not get cut after wrestling that woman in Iceland. And honestly, I saw that video, and that video had setup written all over it. Like, it's like, hey, you want to do a video where I wrestle you to the ground or something? And she's like, yeah, because there was no, there wasn't the emotion that would be attached to an attack of any sort. She was that everything about that looked voluntary and acted. And I think it just backfired on him with social media because people have no
scruples.
The problem with the SJW community is that they have hardwired their brains to literalize everything. Yep. There are no metaphors. There are no similes. If you make an allusion to something with an example, no, they concentrate on the example as if that was literally what you just did, which is why humor is dead. Because you everything you say is a literal expression of what you really mean. They've taken that whole, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them, and they've committed it to their soul, and burned it in with a wood burner, and now they can't get rid of it, and now they can't have any fun because they can't understand when people are joking. And that's what's killed a lot of our entertainment, including comics.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. sermon over. Just, just
All
thought
right,
I'd throw that out there.
Thank you, Dave Chappelle. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. God damn, they've man, the man's a hero for having no fucks to give on this whole thing, and I hope that he continues to stand that way, and that he serves as a beacon for others to see him and emulate.
We need more of that kind of thing where people just need to start standing up to these people and not backing down. Because the more you back down, the more it's like the more ground you give, the more ground they'll take.
Now I do, I would like to see how he would stay the same or stand differently if Netflix had bowed to the pressure and pulled the comedy special down. If they had done that, then I'd like to have seen, would he still stand up the way he did? I think he would. He's made the money.
I think also he has a little bit more of a conservative aspect than people realize, because there's an elephant in the room that nobody talks about with regards to him.
And that is?
He's a Muslim.
Oh, I did not know that about him.
Oh, yeah. So, and in fact, there is a whole video of him on YouTube expounding about the well of Zamzam, which is a well that heals people magically, basically in Yemen, that area. So, like, he really believes in the Quran, and so I think he has some conservative approaches, like within, that people aren't really recognizing because they don't want to talk about his Islamic aspects. Yeah.
And do you know how you can tell that he's conservative?
Yeah.
Because he has never once brought that into his comedy and his show and made it the central focus point.
Nope. He keeps it completely to himself, except, like I said, in these videos where he talks about doctrine, basically, and how he believes in it.
And when you go into that video, that's what you expect, because that's what the video is about.
Yeah, it is.
Like, political comics. I collect political comics. I've got, all the satire Trump ones. I've got the Spider-Man Obama one. I've got Biden's Titans sitting in a drawer over here. That's okay, because you know what? I bought a comic that says right there on the title, I'm a political comic.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Biden Titans, that reminds me. Did you guys remember hearing a few weeks ago about the whole Paul Gosar thing?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I find it difficult to believe a guy that old really understands anime, like, enough to use it as a tactic, which he did, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of the outrage that came from I guess his quote unquote victims of his joke? But you guys think that might have been over the top a bit, or
you mean AOC and the like?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it was definitely manufactured outrage for sure, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was basically trying. He was a boomer trying to use a meme, and he boomered the meme, right? Pretty much.
Pretty much.
I mean, it was an Attack on Titan meme, right? Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he boomered it. So yeah, sometimes
I think if I understand correctly, one of the scenes actually had like him as a Titan or something like that, like eating, AOC, maybe,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And which is something people do all the time. They make memes that do that. So,
but you can't do that to, your political opponents, because, again, they take it literally.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look what happened. Look what happened with Joe Bennett, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing happened to him, for a political cartoon he made years ago. Marvel decided to let him go, and Al Ewing decided to break up their duo. Of course, he's now over at Arctoons working with like Vox Day and Chuck Dixon. So he didn't stay unemployed for too long.
Good for him. Guys, hour and 50 minutes. I think we're good to wrap things up here now. So let's kind of take the cycle here. We'll go clockwise. Mike, tell people what you got coming up and where they can find you at.
Okay, so my nightly.
Sorry, other Mike going clockwise.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So Mike Walters gets to go now.
Yes, go ahead. Derp.
Okay, I can go.
Yes, you.
Okay. Yeah, we have two mics here, so it kind of threw us off. Okay. My nightly show is called The Mic Stand, because usually, as part of my show, of course, I hope people, when they're coming in this chat, are participating and actively conversing about what we're talking about. Monday through Thursday, of course, it's from 6 p.m. It starts 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Monday through Thursday, I cover, niche news. Basically, I go over articles from the likes of Bounding into Comics, RJ's site, of course, Critical Blast, and CBR, depending upon the article. And so I give commentary on what I'm reading, kind of give a running commentary. Then on Friday is the night we focus on going into the past with a historical comic retrospect. And what I do with that is, one of the things I like to do with that is try to help people, rediscover the wonder and fantasia of being what it's like when you first discover comics. I'm one who, I didn't grow up reading comics like you guys did. Okay. If anything, I got into comics more because I grew up watching cartoons like Super Friends. And then, later I wanted to learn a little bit, obviously I wanted to get more into the comics universes. So, I primarily with DC, and then I decided to, well, not everybody likes DC. Some people might like some of the other universes. So, give them the means to absorb as much of the information they can in terms of recreating the universe. So what I do on Fridays is we're going systematically in a very thorough way back through, we're right now up to August of 1938. We're covering comics that went on sale from there. Started in 1933. This Friday, we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from David McKay Publications, which was the company that was primarily doing the reprints for a lot of the King Feature Syndicate stuff, which was like Popeye, Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, and the like. And we'll also be covering Eastern Color, Famous Funnies number 50. And it's Funnies at this point in August. Cover dated probably September or October of 1938, but on sale date was August of 38. The 50th issue of Famous Funnies, which was the first comic book pretty much in this current era to be published. I know there were some before that, but basically once got the ball rolling. So this Friday, that we'll be covering. So basically, as I said, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, the mic stand. Monday to Thursday, Niche Newscast. Friday, the historical comic retrospect. Hope you guys will come out, check it out. Maybe, when you're tired of all the woke garbage that you're seeing nowadays, you can look back in time and hopefully rediscover what it's like to really get into a good comic book and discover it for the first time, or rediscover that which you discovered as a kid.
All right. So everybody
I know
check
I
out
went a little
the
long there, but
well, you got a lot to cover. Heroinberg.
Oh yeah. So people can just come and see us and our actresses and get our comics. Our next Comic-Con appearance is Steel City Con right here in Pittsburgh in the Monroeville Convention Center, which for those of you, it's right across the road from the Monroeville Mall where they filmed Dawn of the Dead. So come and check us out next weekend, the 10th through the 12th of December, Steel City Con. And we'll be working on new episodes, new customs, and new comics.
Say hi to Ted Sikora for us while you're there.
Ted is always going to be there, and Alicia is going to be there on Sunday. But we do have different actresses all 3 days.
Excellent. Mike Jimmy. Your turn.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at @and_ends. You can find me on Facebook as Mike Jimmy Lorsha de Bruin or Fairies and Ends as well. We got La Ancora issue 5 coming up on January 14th. And I'm going to move the Radiant site to Kickstarter. So that's going to be in January as well. I haven't started on the page yet, but that should be next week once I'm done with the pages for Lava Core 5. And yeah, hit me up. I'm always around and always in for asking questions.
Excellent. All right. Good discussion tonight. I like it when it just kind of wanders all over the place. I don't like to go down bullet points.
I hoped I was able to help out by having all those topics ready.
Yeah, you always do, Mike. You
Yeah.
always do. So that's why we keep you around, man. All right. Thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it. It's a good discussion. Everyone in the chat, thank you for showing up. We don't have a show if you're not here watching it. We're that tree falling in the wood. So we're very glad that you're here. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.